Good morning. Welcome to Renew, a daily devotional for you. My name is Jessica, and I am a member of the College and Career Ministry here at Mainland Baptist Church. And today's devotional is entitled Slow to Wrath. Today's devotional is coming from James 1, verses 17 through 20. And it reads, "Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, and cometh down from the Father of lights, with whom is no variableness, neither shadow of turning. Of his own will begat he us with the word of truth, that we should be a kind of first fruits of his creatures. Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. For the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God." Once again, that's coming from James 1, 17 through 20. The devotional reads, "Each of us has received from God so much more than what we deserve, yet too often we yield to the temptation to think that our good things are the result of our own intelligence, strength, and initiative, failing to remember that those things are only possible because of God's grace. Failing to recognize him as our source of blessings leads us to not only be ungrateful, but often loud, angry, and argumentative. Anyone who is focused on God will be less focused on self as a result." Jonathan Edwards wrote, "If men sought not chiefly their own private and selfish interests, but the glory of God and the common good, then their spirit would be a great deal more stirred up in God's cause than in their own, and they would not be prone to hasty, rash, inconsiderate, immoderate, and long-continued wrath with any who might have injured or provoked them, but they would in a great measure forget themselves for God's sake, and from their zeal for the honor of Christ." There are things that are genuine and legitimate targets for anger. Such angers, not for our own sake, but for the cause of God, is not sinful. Jesus did not do wrong when he turned over the tables of the money changers and drove them from the temple. What those people were doing to hinder the true worship of God was offensive to him. And his disciples remembered that it was written, "The zeal of thine house hath eaten me up." And that comes from John 2:17. Often, however, our anger is a zeal for ourselves rather than for God. This anger should be put away and replaced with tender-heartedness. And today's growth principle is pride and selfishness are the driving forces behind much of the anger we see displayed in the world. To make a long story short, pretty much if we put everything beside ourselves and look up to God, look at everything and just in the eyes of the Lord, whether that's forgiving someone as opposed to being angry at them, listening to someone before we lash out and start yelling and screaming at them when they're saying something we don't agree with, and anything of the sort, it just doesn't benefit us, and it surely does not show God's light in us. That is not a characteristic that would let others know that we are Christians. So whenever anything in the world is happening around us, just take a moment and think, what would Jesus do? And more often than not, our reactions will be much more calmer, and we'll be able to think more clearly as opposed to speaking in anger and bitterness. So thank you for joining me today on today's Renew, and have a great day.